In actuality, different varietals are used. Different farmers are doing different processes, growing the tea slightly differently in different regions, and that's going to affect the flavor, as is the environment, the moisture, humidity. These are all affecting not only the flavor, the aroma, the leaf appearance, etc. Most tea is picked mechanically in the world. Basically, a big lawnmower goes over the top of the plants and it chops it all up so that you get, tiny, tiny particles, which are then going to be oxidized into black tea, which will then be made into tea bags. So that's really how tea is processed and picked. We're talking about before, you want some very specific leaves, they're going to have more flavor, etc. So if you're hand picking, you can control that. And depending on the type of tea, you'll be picking different tea leaves. If you're picking a Yinzhen silver needle, a white tea, you'll be picking just the unopened leaf bud. Maybe for Darjeeling, you'll be picking the unopened leaf bud and the top two leaves. So depending on the style of tea you're making, that's going to influence which leaves exactly you're going to be picking. Each leaf is plucked, then you know much more about what your flavor is going to be. You have a better chance of making a better tea. Certainly it's more labor intensive, and generally speaking, women pick because they have better hand-eye coordination. In some places, in many places men pick as well, but like for instance in Darjeeling, often a whole village will live on a tea estate. The men will do some of the other work, the women will often be the pluckers.
Plucking is a crucial operation that determines the ultimate quality of the brew. It requires a great deal of dexterity and care. The highest grade of top quality tea is the product of a fine plucking, in which only the terminal leaf bud and first two leaves are picked. Tea can be categorized by form and shape into loose tea and brick tea. Loose teas are classified by processing methods which make the colors of the leaves different. These colors offer a further classification by type: non-fermented tea, semi-fermented tea, fermented tea.
Often people use the word fermented when they're talking about tea. And fermentation is a process that is slightly different than oxidation. And what's happening to the tea leaf is really more of an oxidative process. So even though the old terminology was fermentation, I prefer to use oxidation to discuss the changing of the leaf, the changing of the essential oils, etc.
This is a fresh tea leaf of this year. Fresh cut tea leaves consist of 75 to 80% water. A variety of green tea flavors are formed through the combination of three main taste components: catechin, caffeine, and theanine. Catechin is for bitterness and astringency. Caffeine is for bitterness, and theanine and amino acids are for flavor and sweetness. Some people don't like drinking tea because of the bitterness and astringency. It's due to catechin. However, there is an important secret behind the taste of catechin. A dried tea leaf consists of 10 to 18% catechin. Many studies have proven the virtue of tea, and especially catechin is the most effective ingredient of tea. It is a powerful water-soluble polyphenol and antioxidant that is easily oxidized. Catechin is one of over 2,000 of flavonoids which have a flavin structure. Tea contains four main catechin substances: EC, ECG, EGC, and EGCG. Epigallocatechin gallate, EGCG, is the most powerful catechin and antioxidant, which is about 25 to 100 times more potent than vitamin C and E. When tea is heated on high temperature and is dried, the tea leaf turns green color and becomes green tea. It's also due to the main ingredient, catechin. What is the secret of catechin in green tea? Catechin is a tannin peculiar to green tea. The high antioxidant of green tea acts to protect the body from oxidative damage due to free radicals. When we are breathing or eating food, oxygen comes inside the body. The oxygen then becomes active oxygen through transferring to energy. The problem is active oxygen remains inside the body. The active oxygen attacks normal cells of the body and damages DNA. It causes cancer, arteriosclerosis, or aging by gene metamorphosis or cell transformation. Catechin inhibits the active oxygen. Inside the body, catechin reacts to the active oxygen. Catechin has OH structure. It transfers H hydrogen of OH structure to an active oxygen and makes the active oxygen stable. So drinking green tea prevents those diseases. Tea has its origin in Asia with a history of 5,000 years. It has become a trend globally today because drinking tea gives people health benefits. On January 21, 2002, the article in Time magazine, 10 Foods That Pack a Wallet, scientists have started to identify what may be hundreds, even thousands, of natural chemicals in foods that seem to have preventive powers. These aren't just vitamins and minerals, but a whole new bouquet of strange-sounding compounds, starting with the latest nutritional superstars, the phytochemicals. The 10 foods include tomato, spinach, broccoli, garlic, and green tea. 1 cup of green tea provides 10 to 40 milligrams of polyphenols and has antioxidant that is more effective than a serving of broccoli, spinach, carrots, or strawberries. A Chinese poet, No Dong, extolled drinking of tea in his poem. The first reason for drinking tea is to moisten your throat and lips. The second is because it releases you from solitude and agony. And the third reason is because it makes your body feel lost in the mysterious charm of tea.
What it makes me think about is once I had tea with a group of Chinese monks in a city called Hangzhou a couple of months ago, and it was really cold. And they were just drinking cup after cup in this room that had no heat. And I could see that the tea was a way for them, first of all, to socialize with each other, and second, to have something to unwind, and third, it warmed them up. So it had kind of a practical and more of a spiritual benefit to it, too. So it was really nice to share a tea.
Unlike coffee, the mysterious charm of tea keeps New Yorkers interested in Asian tea culture. At first, people just want to drink tea, but now it has changed. They want to learn and enjoy tea as part of its own culture. Even though the tea ceremony was considered a complicated way of drinking tea before, now it has become the new trend of culture, and people realize that the way to drink tea is more about enjoyment of drinking tea. The Chinese tea ceremony, unlike the Japanese tea ceremony, emphasizes the tea rather than the ceremony. What the tea tastes like, smells like, and how one tea tastes compared to the previous tea, or in successive rounds of drinking, that is what participants of the Chinese tea ceremony are most concerned with. Michael performs the ceremony with such grace, one doesn't see it as ceremony, but rather as gentle hospitality. Michael answers simply for the question, what is tea in China? He conveys his experience saying, in China, when you see someone on the street, before you even say hello, you say, have you had tea yet?